Hi, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of Women of Startup Nation. We are so excited to introduce you to our third guest, to our second guest, actually, our third episode. She's amazing and an incredible woman. And I have so many questions for her. And I'm going to let Meta introduce her.
Thank you, Jordana. So yes, tonight we have with us Rania Dean. She's an Israeli American Druze, and so she's going to explain also what Druze means. And in the last few years of her life, she's really dedicated to advocate, being a speaker, and is the fondant of Covenant. And soon she's going to explain you also what it is. But let's start from your story, Rania, like where you were born. How come that you eventually have ended in LA? What's your journey?
First, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be with you because it's the first time that I'm in a podcast to speak about myself, not about another topic. So thank you for emphasizing the woman's role in life.
Welcome.
My name is Rania Dean. I was born and raised in Israel, in northern Israel, in a village called Magar. And Magar now is a city, but back then it was a village. I'm sixth generation in Israel. So I grew up, as you know, because you are in Israel now, so you know that every Israeli is a war survivor. Missiles, rockets falling on my home, bus, and unfortunately exploding was the sad reality. So this is how we grew up. I grew up in a very political home. My late dad used to be a vice mayor of our village and also central member of the Likud party for more than 15 years. Our home was always, a hub for politicians and people, especially around the elections. So I was fed with politics since a very early age. And I also was fed with something more important, which is the responsibility of any citizen towards his country. So from very early age, I was very involved, very active, volunteering, leading initiatives. So at some point, I also led an organization, a foundation, and also some national and international projects. One of them was actually a peace project called Yalla Young Leaders. It was an online initiative with the cooperation of the Paris Center for Peace and the American Embassy back then. This initiative was very unique. Even though I studied biotechnology engineering, then later on political sciences and conflict management, but this initiative was very unique because of two things. It taught me, first of all, that peace comes by personal interaction,
Yeah.
not from top to bottom. It's the opposite. And we need to really know each other. But it's also made me a little bit pessimistic because of years of brainwashing and education that teaches that the Jewish people or Israel are the monster, are the enemy. It was so hard to change this opinion. So I got a little bit pessimistic, especially around the second phase of the violence that happened when the stabbing attacks had started. It was around 2014, I guess.
Yeah.
And back then in 2014, I moved to live in LA, actually in 2013, because I got married. My husband is a Druze as well, but he was located in LA. So I moved to live here, and somehow I was busy with, motherhood, with my normal life. The life of LA is beaches and no war, thanks God. But it never left me. The sense of commitment, of citizenship never left me. I used to help here or there, even here in LA, but the most serious, U-turn that I made back to what I used to do was on October 7th. On October 7th, our world had changed, and so mine. And then I decided that I need to do something the way I was taught at home, because in our home, my dad used to tell us shayachut, which means belonging, is not a passive thing, it's an active thing. If you want to feel shayach or belong, you have to do something. And I couldn't stay silent, especially when I saw the amount of hatred, which I will speak about that briefly later. But for me, my home was my inspiration, my childhood. And I want to tell you something about my dad, which connects it to my mission. Within the Druze community, and later I will explain
Tell
about
us
the
more
Druze
about
community.
the Druze community in Israel and around the world. We would love to learn more.
I would love to tell you more. Within the Druze community, the elections back then was very conservative, and it's still somehow. So for the local government or the municipal government, as we call it in Israel, the elections usually was controlled by the largest families. And my dad, our family is one of the smallest families in our village. My dad and another leader from the village came with this initiative that they will unite all the small families in the village and make them a one power, one group that will defeat this, control that is happening for more than 20 years. And they did it, and they won the elections not only one time, but several times. So that gave me an inspiration, because when I see Israel isolated, I think about the long-term fight, because our fight in the Middle East is for the long term. And for me, I established covenant, and covenant is a foundation that first of all, emphasizes the connection between the Druze people and the Jewish people, the historical and the modern, and the moral connection. It also connects our destiny together as minorities. And my mission now, especially after October 7th, when I saw that we cannot defeat radical Islam by our own, no matter how strong we are. So my mission now is to advocate, to connect all the minorities in the Middle East who are struggling with the same, they have the same challenges, the same enemies. Let's look at Syria, what is happening now with the Druze in Syria. Thousands been massacred in Syria from my community, Yazidis, Alawites, every small minority in the Middle East is a target. And my mission is to advocate, to connect all of these minorities, inspired by my dad, to make a coalition to face all the challenges. Now, I want to just tell you something. As a Druze, I have layers of identity.
Yeah.
And I am a mother. First of all, I am a mother. I have this commitment to my kids for a better reality. I'm American, and I see that whatever we have there is moving here. We are struggling with the same challenges that are in the Middle East. We see it in our universities, in our streets. I'm also Israeli, and I'm Druze. And all of these layers of my identity now under threat. So for me, I feel it's really very personal. It's not only a mission that I enjoy doing, I have to do it. It's for my own existence and my own dignity. So this is me.
So first of all, I find it amazing also that you find the solution or the inspiration within your own family and apply it to a new problem. So this is incredible. But tell us more about the Druze. Who are the Druze? Are they people, a nation, a religion?
A mix of them. It's still a mystery even for us that are Israelis, but I know personally a very good friend of mine from Italy that they are surprised when they find out that in Israel live together, of course, Jew, Muslim, and Christian, but there is this amazing community, which is the Druze community. So can you tell us a little bit more about your community?
Of course. So if you know or noticed, even within the Druze community, within the Israeli community, not everyone knows about the Druze. They know that the Druze are good people, they are our friends, they are our brothers, but most of them know nothing about the real Druze. And you want me to tell you one more thing?
Yeah.
Not all the Druze know about the Druze. And there is a reason for that. So from what I know, because also even me, I don't know everything because of the secrecy that surrounds our religion. But I'm not gonna go deep into the religion because it's not my place, and I'll explain why. I'm gonna go into the national aspect or the identity aspect. So if you go to Google or Wikipedia or read in any book, even those who were written by Druze themselves, you will find a narrative that says basically that the Druze belief was established in the 11th century in Egypt by a Muslim caliphate called Hakim bi Amrillah, that we are part of the Islamic Shiite sect,
Right.
and
That's
that
what I found on Wikipedia before our call.
right, and that our religion is secretive, that we believe in reincarnation, and that we have a star made of 5 colors. Every color represents one value. Now, all what is related to the reincarnation is totally true. All what is related to the star somehow true, because we do have a star that represents a fundamental part of our belief, but sometimes the explanation is not really very exact. Now, about who we are, this is something that I've been researching very deeply, far from the religion, because according to our religion, the secrecy is a fundamental part for survival aspects, and I will explain later why. Now, for me, I took the historical and the scientific aspect. As someone who studied biotechnology engineering, I'm so fascinated about science, and I need every fact to be confirmed by scientific evidences. And also, as a political scientist, I like also to dig deep into the history, select what is really makes sense from the history based on the narrative. So I did this for a few years already, and it's not over yet. I'm still working on it. But from what I found clear evidences that we weren't established on the 11th century in Egypt, as everyone says. We are pre-Arabs, we are pre-Muslims, and that we are an ethno-religious minority. We have our own belief that was before the Islamic period. We have our own ethnicity. Now, according to my research, I found that we existed in the ancient Levant, which is Israel. Now, part of it is Israel. And we also are the descendants of Jethro. Jethro is the father-in-law of Moses. Now, many people say this. If you ask, many Druze would tell you this because it's part of our oral history. Now, I took what is part of our oral history and I looked for scientific and historical evidences to support this. So everything that I'm telling you, most of it is from our oral history that is not documented because we are a small minority who was very oppressed and suppressed for thousands of years. So our history in legacy, in culture vanished by time. So we can maintain this low profile existence for centuries. And then at some point we moved to Egypt. Now in Egypt during the Islamic Caliphate, we were exposed. We call this in our oral history the exposure era, which means our belief was exposed, which means wasn't formed there, but was exposed to the public. And then to make long story short, because I can give a 1 hour lecture about that, but to make long story short, the Druze were oppressed again during the Islamic Caliphate when the Hakim bi Amrillah was, some people say he was killed, some people say he vanished. We will not get into that, but his son came and ruled Egypt, and he started the massacre against the Druze. He massacred the Druze. The core group of the believers who existed prior to that period of time, they escaped and fled Egypt. And I found some evidences that supports our oral narrative that said that we fled to some mountains in Europe. And it was supported by some books that we fled to a mountain in Europe called Ararat. It's now part of Armenia or Georgia, I guess, or in between.
Sure.
And DNA, it's a long story, but then again, we were oppressed, moving and fled into the Syrian, Lebanese, and later on to the Israeli mountains. Now, DNA tests.
I was about to ask you, like, if there is like a gene that is associated with the Druze.
I found some researches. The first research ever about the Druze was coincidental. They didn't intend to test the Druze genes for origins. It was done by the Technion. the medicine school by Rappaport, I guess its name, and they wanted to test genetic diseases related to groups, and they took DNA examples and samples from all the Druze from the whole Middle East and even in South America, because we have a big population there, and they found something very unique. They found that we carry the very distinct DNA.
Okay.
Not only that, our DNA doesn't, it's not similar or close to the other minorities in the Middle East, which means the Arabs. And also it carries a gene, very unique gene called the Kohanim gene. Now, Kohanim gene is a very ancient gene that exists mainly within the Jewish community, and the Druze carry it. Now, and since then they started doing more DNA researches. One of them said without a shred of doubt that our DNA is so similar to one specific group in the world. Can you guess who?
The Jews?
Yes, but the Ashkenazi Jewish.
Ah, wow.
Yes.
Oh, I would never get
yes, and I was, what? And then because I was reading, and then if I see the journey that the Druze had went through from ancient Levant to Egypt to the European mountain, and then
Similar to the
again
one
to
of
the
the
Syrian. That's explaining, because the Ashkenazi Jewish people also fled the ancient Levant, Israel, to Mount Zagros. And Mount Zagros, Mount Zagros, right? And Mount Zagros very close to Mount Ararat. So they are very close. And this explains it somehow, but it's even more than that. If we believe our oral history that we are the descendants of Jethro, which is the father-in-law of Moses, Jethro's daughter, Tzipporah,
right?
Yes, that explains it all without even the common journey or the common path. So we have really a blood connection that connects us from ancient times. And this is part of ours. Our main prophet or main wise man, because our belief is a little bit different, is very spiritual. We believe in Hashem, in God, but our belief says that we are the descendants of Jethro. Now, everyone who knows who Jethro is will connect the dots. This is what about the Druze. I can just tell you that we have secrecy that's still surrounding our belief because of years of oppression, because we are a minority. And when we were telling that, sometimes I was faced with, but what are you talking about? Like a few years ago, you live in Israel, you're free, and I don't see any oppression. But the last 14 years or 15 years, especially in Syria, the Druze had went through massacre after massacre. And the biggest of them all was in July, when more than 3,000 Druze were killed. We're still dealing with hostages, with missing people, over 1,000 missing people. 36 villages were destroyed. Many people were raped, many women were raped, over 500. So it's a disaster. It exemplifies the reality that the Druze as a minority live in the Middle East.
Actually, Rania, you know, but not everybody knows that the reason why the two of us met is because I wrote an article about it, and the title of the article was "How Last July the Druze in Syria lived their own October 7," because there were so many similarity in the attack of the Druze, like the attack in October 7, the raping, the kidnapping, the killing, and so on. And not by, I think, not by chance, the many Druze that belong to the Israeli Defense Force crossed the border and came to Syria to help their brothers, exactly like many Druze Israeli actually lost their life on October 7th to save their Israeli brothers. But I would love you to tell us more about it, because it's a beautiful story that not a lot of people knows, and I think it's very important to be told.
Yes, unfortunately, we got this story. I wish we hadn't. We hadn't have any October 7th or a Druze massacre to tell this heroism. But this is our reality. And I want to connect October 7th to the Druze reality, because we got into October 7th as Israelis, for me. And it was the first trauma. Not that I was surprised by the cruelty and the inhumanity of our enemy. I wasn't, because I've been doing advocacy for a few years already. I remember exactly how they came into one of the settlements and they killed the Fogel family. They slaughtered a 3 months old newborn. So I was very familiar how their war tactics work by targeting civilians, unarmed civilians, the buses, the attacks, the rockets that were falling and launching against civilians without any planning. So this ideology of targeting civilians wasn't new. Now, on October 7th, maybe the new part was maybe the scale and the inhuman tactics that they used to do to commit this threat against unarmed civilians, the way they killed, the way they slaughtered.
This was just a balloon, not Tirana attacking us.
Sorry.
Don't cut this. This is our reality in Israel. This is our reality in Israel. I want to stop here and tell you when I was little, like back then, one of the doors and it was sliding door and it fell in our home and I had the same reaction because I thought it's a rocket.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was just a week after a wave of rockets were falling towards our village. So yes, sorry.
This is a dog that is barking after
the balloon. Also, the dog has post-trauma.
Yes, this specific dog, which is not mine, is really having post-trauma because of all the rockets that we're still dealing with.
We are all post-traumatic.
Yeah.
No matter where we live. I'm just gonna tell you that on October 7th, the scale of the inhuman atrocities that they committed against the Jewish people and the Israeli people, because they are Israeli, only because they are Israeli. No other
Israeli, also Thai people,
Muslim,
because they are in Israel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Israel is the problem for them. It's not the cause, it's not their cause. They want to annihilate this nation. So they didn't want to choose, they didn't know, so they took them all. But Israel is the main thing that they came for or they came after. We became all post-traumatic. I remember not sleeping at night. I remember how we couldn't function. I remember how I rarely cry in front of my kids, but I couldn't hold it back. And my kids saw me crying, and I had to think, what should I do? Because I'm a person who learned something that if I'm in a crisis, I can't go deeper in it. I need to challenge it. And I thought that I need to act and act fast. And that's why I reignited my advocacy efforts. I just want to tell you that October 7th was a turning point for me, especially because all of my beliefs that this threat is not going to stop anytime soon. It's going to grow bigger. I was following all the cultural jihad and financial jihad that they are committing. This is a silent jihad that they are operating in every point of earth, and no one was really aware of, or few people were aware of. And I thought that if they can do this, when they have this blockade, so-called blockade around Gaza, can you imagine what they can do everywhere in the world with this cultural jihad, with this financial jihad? They are within Europe, they are in New York, they are funding our mainstream media, they are funding our universities. So back then, that was the turning point when I said, I'm gonna start advocating for this, for the threat of radical Islam as a collective threat, not only against Israel, but against the whole world. And here I have to emphasize, and I always emphasize that I'm not talking about all Muslims. I'm talking about radical Islam because the terminology is very important for me. So about the radical Islam, the October 7th was the, let's say, the igniting point. They showed us our true face forever. They cannot hide it anymore. And then we have it again against the Alawites in Syria, same pattern. Again against the Christians in Syria, and twice against the Druze, only since December. So what did that teach me? This teaches me one thing, that it's not gonna ever stop. They are just gaining more time and power. Any peace agreement, any agreement is just for them a break because their ideology is so rooted within them, and it's an imminent threat. And we need to always be aware of this threat and work and act against it.
Yeah, I want to. It's a sad reality, and sometimes we even want to ignore it. We want to sort of have enjoy this ceasefire break because we needed it so desperately. But the truth is that we're dealing with a big problem, a big ideology, and it's very hard, I guess, also for you in California to have people to listen, because people don't want to listen. Sometimes you feel like Cassandra, the mythological creature. Nobody believes her because she says, a threat is coming, danger is coming, and nobody wants to listen. So, but speaking of Cassandra, I wanted to ask you. I know that in the Druze community, women have an amazing role. Like just the fact that you said you studied bioengineering or something that sounds very complicated. It's amazing. Tell us more about the role of the women in the Druze community, especially in Israel, where there is plenty of opportunity.
And
Yes.
one more thing that is also related, because I remember we spoke about it when I interviewed back then. How for a Druze, living in Israel was finally to have a home. And this is why there are so many Druze volunteering in the IDF. There are
very high ranks.
Are very ranks, and so many heroes also that they lost their life on October 7th to save the entire country. So if you can combine together Jordana's question with my question.
Yes, I just want to fix one thing, that the Druze don't volunteer in the army.
Yeah,
they have a duty to serve in the army just like any other Jewish person. Only Jewish people and Druze people are committed to serve in the army. All other minorities, they can volunteer. So for us, it's a duty.
Women as well? The draft is also...
Women don't serve in the army within the Druze community. There are, I don't know if there are any women serving in the army. My husband's cousin is a police officer. I think she's also in a very high rank in the police, but usually women do national service.
Yeah.
And that's due to the conservative, lifestyle that the Druze carried since the establishment of the country. Because when Israel was re-established in 1948, Israel didn't establish the relationship with the Druze and the connection with the Druze then. It was way before. Now, let's leave all the ancient and historical connection and DNA connection aside. Let's talk about the modern history. The Druze linked their destiny with the Jewish people during the 30s and even before that. There were Druze people who fought side by side in the Haganah before even IDF was established. The Druze people in the beginning of the Arab Revolt were neutral because, they speak Arabic, that Jewish people, they were their neighbors, but it was a big, a conflict between Jewish people and Arabs. And the Druze, as a small minority, they always survived by showing solidarity to everyone. But when they were forced to take side, they took the Jewish side, even though the Jewish back then were the weak side. This fact, not every Israeli know about it. And this is all documented. And since then, they joined the Haganah and they fought side by side during the Independence War and even before that, during the Arab Revolt. And I want to tell you something also. Not only the Druze in Israel had some sort of relationship with the Jewish people, even one of the Syrian leaders, Sultan Bashar al-Atrash, which is a very famous figure within the Arab world, he gifted his sword to one of the Jewish leaders back then in the 30s. His name is Abba Khoshi. He was the mayor of Haifa, and Abba Khoshi was in a very good relationship with the Druze people. He visited Sultan in the Druze mountain in Syria, and Sultan gifted him his sword, and that is a very symbolic a matter of trust. So this is about our modern history. Now, since the establishment of the country, we became fully citizens, not only with rights, but also for duties. As you said, the Druze people, most of them serve in the army. The enlistment percentage within the Druze community is at least 10% higher than the national enlistment percentage. Always, most of them in combat units, and so many of them in very high rank and elite units. The Druze people don't feel they have any problem call themselves Israelis, like some of the other minorities in Israel. They are so proud of it. In every Druze house, you can see the Israeli flag, fly high, and we are Israeli for every centimeter of our identity, but we are also Druze. So we maintain this Druze identity as part of our Israeli identity, not separate. And for us, the Druze, we have this solidarity and duty to protect our country no matter what. We belong to the land, and that doesn't contradict our belief. We seek no ambitious, territorial ambitions, and therefore homeland. That's why I'm answering your question. Israel is indeed our homeland. We would defend it no matter what. Now, with the Syrian Druze, or now they don't like even to call them the Syrian Druze. I have so many people that I know now, but they like to call them the Druze of Sweda after the massacres.
Yeah.
We had never, like me as a Druze, I respected all the Druze, but I also respected their choice of how they define themselves. So the Druze people don't have a political connection. The Druze Syrian was Syrian, 100%. The Israeli Druze was Israeli, 100%. The Lebanese Druze was Lebanese, 100%. And that was totally fine with us. We respected this. And if we have a war, we would fight each other and we would respect this. It was actually part of our main identity. Now, since the massacres and since the collapse of the Syrian regime, even before, like since 2014, the civil war, the Druze had shifted because the Druze realized after years of brainwashing education there, and then now they are open to the outside world, they realized that Israel is not what they were teaching them. That actually, when they really got into trouble, Israel was the only country that stood by them. And the Druze people, now, if you know them, they would never forget anyone who helped them, especially when they needed it. So the Druze in Sweden now so clear. They want total 100% peace with Israel. They want to they are normalizing despite everything. They were massacred for that because the Druze people, the biggest massacre happened for them when they visited Israel for religious matters. And after that, the first massacre came in April, and then the second massacre on July. Since the massacre, and especially when Israel helped them and supported them, our relationship with them became stronger than ever. I'm in constant connection with the Druze in Sweden. I'm trying to help them also advocating for their rights because for years they didn't establish any advocacy, they don't have any advocacy background. They are very peaceful people. They never interfered with any problems. Now I know that the situation is a catastrophe. Not only that they had this massacre just like October 7th, but for 7 days and nights. They have thousands, over 3,000 people have been brutally massacred. Over 200 were publicly executed. Women, children, elderly. If you notice the humiliation of religious symbols, even physical, they were cutting the mustaches, which mean the religious rank. They destroyed over 20 shrines.
We saw some videos, and I don't know if they've been shown
No,
in
they were
Western media.
I had to fight to
Yes.
publish the article where I interview you because simply even I write for number 3 newspaper in Italy. They don't know who the Druze are, and this is why for us it was so important to invite you tonight to let better understand to the world what is Israel.
Yes.
And Israel is also the amazing people of your community. So this is why it was so important for us having you.
Thank you. First, I thank you personally, Fia, for exposing the matter. You were among the first people and the bravest people. I talked about how the radical Islam now, with their financial and cultural jihad, they control the narrative, and how they control the narrative by investing in mainstream media, by investing in our colleges and our universities. And this is for another topic. But now here, since I'm talking about myself as a Druze, I want to tell you just about this part of my identity as a Druze. I feel obligated as a Druze to protect them, to speak on their behalf, because they have no voice. The mainstream media is totally silenced, deliberately silenced. Now the interim president and the new regime, they don't allow any journalist to enter Sweden. They have a starvation siege. They cut all aid. They deliberately destroyed the electricity towers, communication towers. They destroyed all water reserves. So not only that they cut all aid to enter, and if there is an aid that enters, they have to steal half of it. Every road to Damascus is a death road. They shoot people, they kidnap people. Even now, today we mark the 100th day after the massacre. They are still under starvation siege. They are still under a deliberate, siege that not only cut aid from them, also cut their dignity and identity. They cut all resources from them. So for me, I feel obligated as a Druze and also as Israeli who went through October 7th. And I see that this is not going to stop there. So I feel more obligated now also as Israeli.
I really hope that we can somehow help in spreading the information about what's going on, and also about your amazing initiative. And I really hope the world will listen, because it's unbearable what's going on there, and the silence of the media, it's unbearable. So I really wish the Druze in Syria will find renewed peace and security, and that we will be able to help them somehow.
I hope so. If you want to help them and I want to help them, we need to keep insisting that a corridor to Israel to be opened. We are trying our best to gather some international support to make this happen, because meanwhile, they are talking about corridor to Syria, which exists, but it's a death road. They are talking about a corridor to Jordan, both of them not useful for them, because even the Jordanian part, they have Bedouins that they are publicly calling to annihilate them. So the ethnic cleansing is not just a mantra or soundbite that we use. It is happening there. The only safe path for them is a corridor to Israel to make the aid come safely and help them rebuild themselves. So I hope that we can advocate for this, and maybe if you have any connections that can help us reach our administration here to just convince them that the Druze people are very peaceful people. Not only that, the Druze people, where they live now, if they fall, this piece of earth called Sweden is very strategical, and it will be sooner or later filled with radicals, and it's right on our northern border. It's very risky. It's very risky.
This is why also we're a deep believer that the Abraham Accords are so urgent, and not only for Israel, but for the entire Middle East area. So we're really...
Yeah, to fight radical Islam and, get some rationality back in the area. Rania, this has been incredibly interesting. We usually ask our guests if they have a quote, or if they want to mention the special woman in their life that has inspired you. Personally, you are my inspiration. I
totally agree.
Yeah, but if you have anybody, a woman in your life, or a famous woman that you would like to share about her, so our listeners can also learn more.
First, thank you so much. It means the world to me that you think like this to me, about me, sorry. Of course, my mom is my inspiration, will forever be. For everything that she done, even for her small smile, for everything. I love her deeply, and I can't even express my gratitude and how lucky I am to have her as my mother. If I wanna give an example that people know, I would give two, if you allow me. I would give from the modern history of Israel, Golda Meir. I love her personality. I read every book about her. I know how she understood the environment that she was surrounded with, and how, with a very, a wise woman's side of wisdom, she knew how to navigate and manage. And she said once a very important sentence, that the Arabs would really have peace when they love their children more than they hate us. And I strongly believe in this. But I have another woman that she is really my inspiration for so many levels. I've read about her so much. It's Zipporah, the daughter of Jethro. She reminds me of every woman that when the feminine side of her was very much of a leadership. Because when Moses was busy leading the Israelites in a very important period of their journey, she raised her kids far from their culture and nation in Midian. And she never let their culture go. It reminds me of myself because I live in the diaspora. She had two identity, because in the beginning she wasn't even Jewish. But she knew how to raise kids who have this aspect of identity very rooted within them, despite her belonging to another, nationality or ethnic group. This is exactly me as an Israeli. My kids, even here in LA, they know they are Israelis, and they know they are Druze as well, but they are very proud of their identity being American Israeli Druze. I don't have, I don't, layer them.
Yes,
I don't prioritize any identity. I let them do whatever they like with it, but they have to know that being Israeli, being American, being Druze, at the end, this is what shapes their identity, and this is an inspiration for me personally.
Wow. Rania, thank you so much.
First of all, we really
Thank
hope
you.
you will come soon to visit us
In person.
in Tel Aviv. Meanwhile, we hope that you will meet our next guest in Women of Startup Nation, because she's also an Israeli living in LA, Lee Horbach. And this is an invitation to all of you to keep following the Women of Startup Nation to the next episode. Meanwhile, Rania, thank you so much. You're really
Thank you,
an
guys.
inspiring woman, and we need more women like you.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you too. And you are an inspiration for me as well. Thank you for all that you do, and keep going. We need it.
We will.
Thank you.